Okay. Hey, Mom. Okay. Thank you for all joining us. Like I said, I'm only gonna take like a couple minutes of your time, um, because it was something that transpired yesterday that I want to bring to all of the parents' attention. So maybe that you can have ongoing conversations with your children about. Okay. So yesterday I revealed to the children the project that we're going to do because we're still project based. We still make stuff, right? So I revealed to them the project that we're going to make within the next couple of weeks. And I told them that they are going to become published authors. I have a set of these books. I don't know if you can see them, but a set of these books, Pledge Allegiance. There's like a series of like 6 of them. And what they are books on the things that your children are learning about right now. This one's on the Bill of Rights. This one's on the Pledge of Allegiance. But if you see here in the corner, it says Kids Translation. So they're really cool books on the inside. It's just really plain language, children can understand. So, but what it doesn't do, it may give a kid's translation, but what it doesn't do, it doesn't give our perspective. It doesn't say, it has the preamble to the Constitution. There's one on the Constitution. Your children should know the preamble to the Constitution, as well as the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. We're studying all of these things, right? But as they're learning these things, it doesn't say, where was I? If this is a kid's translation, where was I in all of these, times and at the time that this was written? What does it say about me as a Black child? So what we're going to do, we're going to write our own series of books. We're going to self-publish them, and they're going to be not only kids' translations of these documents, but from the lens and perspective of a Black child, right? With a lot of really cool graphics and things in them, like this one with the Pledge of Allegiance. We get to put in Colin Kaepernick and the whole kneeling. Like none of that is in these books, and the stanzas that were taken out. So anyway, no, that's anyway. So you get what I'm saying. So we are redoing these books. We're going to self-publish them. We're going to market them, and we're also going to put them on Amazon. The reason why I'm telling you as parents is a couple fold. One, because I want you to know what they're doing. So, and on Monday, I'm going to start giving them their specific segments. Okay, you need to research this and write about this part of the document. Or you need to research this and write about that part, or find some images to go with that. I'm going to start dividing up the work for them to do. But when I introduced the project to the children yesterday, I got some responses that I was not expecting, right? And responses that are not in line with what we do at New Al-Kebalan, not in line at all. Some of the responses were, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. If you don't pay me 10% of the money, I'm not doing it. So that was one. That's one quote that came out of yesterday's conversation. And then another quote was, what's gonna be our percentage? What we gonna get? So there was a huge focus on, and the copyright, are we gonna be listed as authors? Are we gonna have partial ownership of this copyright? So all things that I could not get mad at them about, because in last project, I taught them about intellectual property. I taught them about ownership. We talked about finances. And so in one sense, they were talking about things that I taught them. So I couldn't get mad, right? But in the other sense, it's coming from a very Urugu and European perspective at looking at, why should I work on something? Why should I put my energy and effort into something? And we defaulted, I say we, because it was the vast majority of the children in the conversation. And I was noticing it, and they couldn't notice it because, I mean, they're children. But we defaulted back to the Yurugu seeds of thought that have been planted in our minds. And I am very, very serious about what I do with your children and getting them to see these ways that we have been conditioned to think. So if your default is to go back to, I'm not going to work on this because what about me? I need to get paid. What about my 10%? Am I partial owner? What about that copyright though? Like, like I said, I can't get angry. I'm not angry, but I do want to have that ongoing conversation. What I want parents to be able to do is to be able to notice and identify when your children are articulating something that stems from a European mindset that has been implanted in all of us, every single one of us. The only difference between me and them is that I have put in more practice in noticing when it comes up in my mind and trying to reverse that. I'm trying to give them the tools to be able to notice when it comes up in their mind and to try to reverse that as well. But if you are worried about competition, yourself as an individual, profit over the purpose of the project, those are all ways of thinking, young people, that we are educating you to notice and weed out of your mind. Okay, and I have your parents here not to have you chastise them, because that is not what I want you to do at all. I want to partner with you, parents, in pointing out and getting them to notice and recognize those things when they come up, because they will come up. None of us have gone untouched by the seeds of Yurugu's thought and way of thinking, and a white supremacist way of thinking. And if gone unchecked, we can be Black white supremacists. They know these terms, which is why I'm saying them. So it's gonna take a constant. Oh, did you notice what you just said right there? Did you notice what you just did right there? Is that an Alkebulan mindset? Is that a Yurugu mindset? Like, it's gonna take a constant and ongoing pointing out of those things so it becomes second nature to them. I do it with them, and I do it with love. And I want you to do that as well. It's not about chastising them, but it really is about letting them know, like, this is not just an assignment. This is how we live our life. This is how we live our life. And there's a balance. Balance is one of our principles, children. There is a balance between how are we going to do business and make a profit, and how we're going to do that from an Alkebulan mindset. There is a balance there, and we can strike that balance. But you have to be able to recognize when you're out of balance. Okay? So parents, if you have any questions about the project or the conversation, or what I'm asking you to do in partnering with me to have that ongoing conversation and reminding with your children, you can unmute yourself and let me know. Or if you're trying to unmute and it's not working, let me know and I'll do it. Because I just can't unmute everybody at the same time. Ooh, the Dumas family. Okay, so any questions, comments? Oh, and my answer, go ahead.
No, I'll just say quickly. I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I'm not sure if I totally agree that the idea of wanting to be compensated in this project is a Yurugu mindset. I'm not sure what it is specifically that makes it a Yurugu aspect. I'm also open to learning more about the balance.
Let me answer you. What's the purpose of the project? What's the purpose of the project? Does the profit Does the profit exceed the purpose of the project?
I don't think so, but I don't think the
Okay,
purpose.
okay. So if you are, hold on, I want to answer you. If your thought process is profit over the purpose, that's what makes it a Urugu mindset.
So I don't think that's the concern I'm sharing. I think I don't think the purpose replaces the profit either. I think both can be done together, which is the balance you're speaking about. I'm not sure that, you know, for this particular project, I'm going to say my daughter or my son has to be paid. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that in general, the principle you're teaching, I don't think one has to outweigh the other or replace the other. I think both can be done hand in hand. For the purpose of this agreement, of this project, I don't mind signing a waiver saying that she's not getting paid from it. I'm not saying that at all, because you guys are working on a project as a group. It's about the learning experience, but not this specific actual, you know, business venture or anything like that. But I just think in general, the principle that one can't be concerned about profit and purpose at the same time, it kind of sounds like that's what you're saying.
It's not.
Know. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So
I said it
that's
was imbalance. The way that your children think of it is imbalance. I'm asking you to advocate for balance and to be able to recognize when it is imbalance.
Yeah. I just don't know that the balance, white or black thing. I think there are individuals in every culture who might see things differently based on their environment, their upbringing, and a lot of different things. So I don't know that it's specifically necessarily a Western or a white thing. I just think that it's a greed thing. But I mean, that's, you know, that's my personal opinion. I'm not gonna try to jump in how you're doing things.
Right. I think in terms of study, in terms of what an Alkebulan mindset actually is, and Alkebulan doesn't mean black, because not all, I told them the difference between Thurgood Marshall and Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is a black man. He is not an Alkebulan man. He does not have an Alkebulan mindset. He has a white supremacist mindset. You can be a black person, have a white supremacist mindset or a Yoruba mindset. Alkebulan does not have to do with being black or being dark skinned. It doesn't even have to do with coming from the continent of Africa, right? But there are some principles and ways of being that are in alignment with each other and that are in alignment with nature that we call an Alkebulan mindset. I've spent more time educating your children about that than I have spent educating you as parents about that. So I understand why you're not exactly clear on what that is when I say those words. And maybe that's something that I need to think about too, in terms of I'm asking you to help them recognize it, but you don't recognize it because I haven't given you a distinction, right? So maybe that's something that I need to think about and how I can better make that distinction clear to parents, right? Because it's unfair of me to ask that you help them with something that a distinction that I have not actually given you, right? So I wasn't saying, my answer to them yesterday with regards to what is my percentage if I'm going to get paid? No, I'm not doing it if I don't get 10%. My answer to them yesterday was not, you have to be thinking about the purpose over the profit. That was not my answer to them. My answer to them was, I am not interested in putting cash money in the hands of a child. That was my answer. I'm not interested in putting cash money in the hands of a child, simply because what you do with that, a lot of them would just spend it all on Beyblade. I'm just saying. But what I did tell them is that a certain percentage of the profits can go into a fund that they can have access to. If they, like one of them was showing me that they have their own book that they want to write. Okay, you want to write that, self-publish it, print it like we're going to do. You may not have known how to do that, but now you do know how to do it. You can go to our printer and you can go to our fund to get the money to have our printer print your personal book that you want to do. I know one of the children in here already has a business that she's doing. Okay, you want to go and you want to copyright your own thing, or you want to make your own products and your own material, and you need money to buy the raw materials for your products. Okay, there's a fund for you to go get the money to do that. Like, I have no problem with funding anything related, and this is the conversation we had, anything related to your business, to your education. They brought up summer programs. They're like, coming up with all types of things of like, okay, this would be good to do. Why don't we go on a trip here? Okay, great. Let's do all of that. Whether it's together or just you individually, that money would be in that fund for those purpose of you being able to do that. But to just put money in your hand, I'm not interested in doing that. And I don't think that the amount of, just to be honest with you, if a book gets made, it's not going to be because they put forth 10% of the effort. It's going to be because I wrote the book. I just teaching you in the process. That's what's really real. If we're talking about what's really, right?
Yes. No. I agree with. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think
the
that
percentage of the money is allotted to them. It's just allotted to them in a structured way. It's not just like, boom, here's your money.
Yeah, no, I'm not advocating that they get paid from this book either. I mean, I'm not. I just want to be clear. Like, I don't think that, but whatever you put into it far outweighs whatever they're doing, regardless. I think my concern was more so. I mean, I do intellectual property law. So part of my concern is like, as a community, I have a lot of musicians, producers, rappers, individuals who they do deals with each other. They don't put anything in writing because of that mindset. Hey, we're a family. There's a code. There's trust. That we're friends, and so they end up becoming fleeced by people who do have this mindset. And so if the young people are learning about their rights and things like that, I don't think it's a moment to not. I don't think you didn't use the word chastise, but I don't think it's a moment to rebuke them.
I said, please don't chastise them.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great learning opportunity for them to learn how to negotiate their, intellectual property rights or whatever the current is. And then you just can explain to them why in this particular instance, that's not really on the table, because in the grand scheme of things, Mama Cheryl's really the one who's doing everything. You guys, it's just the illusion, for the purpose of the lesson plan. But, and the thing is, I'm perfectly fine with that. For me, I misunderstood what you meant between Alkebulan and Yurugu. I thought that meant black and white, but I understand you're saying it's a philosophy, it's a set of principles or values, and so yeah, I just need more clarification on the distinction. That's all.
Right, and this is bringing to my understanding that I need to do, like I said, I need to do a better job of giving parents that distinction. Some people have heard the term before they come to the school, most have not. So I will do a better job at giving parents that distinction. It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing. Just because you have dark skin, or even if you are from the continent of Africa or anywhere in between, does not make you an Alkebulan person or even an Alkebulan minded person. Alkebulan has to do with your concept of your connectedness, like I said, to earth and to other people. There's one term of Ubuntu. It says, I am because we are. If there's a connectedness between people and a way of communing with people and a mindset of, it's not greed or money over everything. It's like, how can I live in a symbiotic relationship with other people that promotes holistic wellness for myself and that person, right? A Yurugu mindset goes counter to that in the sense that it thinks about itself first. It is very selfish. It has that idea of individualism that has it really overlook other people for your own selfish gain. It says that greed is good. It is the core and the foundation of a lot of the things that we have been given. And it is the core of a lot of our legal system as well. So that's why I'm saying that the distinction is sometimes maybe hard to see immediately if you haven't been in the practice of trying to see it. But that is very much a part of your child's education in this space. I'm not just teaching them to make money. They can go anywhere and get that. I'm not just teaching them to write a book or to build a business or an app. They can go anywhere and get that. They don't need me for that. In this space, they are going to be taught that mindset. And they are going to be taught the reason why I build a business It's because I have the mindset that says this thing can allow all of us to live in that holistic, symbiotic relationship with each other, such that I am taken care of and so are you. Like, they're going to get that. They're going to get that all day, every day. And I would love for that to match what they get at home so that they're not confused. Like, I think, and it's all about balance. It's not all the people over myself. Not at all. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. That is one of the principles on the wall that they see every day when they come in. It's all about balance. And for us to say, okay, we're going to do this project together, and you say, no, I am not doing it. I am not doing it. If you give me 10%, then maybe I'll do a part of it, but I am not doing it. That is not balance. That's not balance. It's not a balanced way of thinking. It's not a balanced way of negotiating. It's not balanced. And it's not even about me doing the majority of the work, because I don't care about that. It's not about me doing the majority of the work. Another one of those principles is reciprocity. Reciprocity in terms of that symbiotic, I am giving because I am receiving, like that reciprocity. So when we talked about it, okay, what is that reciprocity is going to be? All right, here's a big percentage of the proceeds over here that is available to you, each and every one of you, right? It's absolutely there. It's available to you. There's that reciprocity. So we're not asking them to go without reciprocity. It's about those principles on the wall and really living them and recognizing, being able to get in the practice of recognizing when you're not. So yeah, I wanted to, and I told them yesterday too, this is not a forced thing. This is not like, oh, you participate in this school, so you have to do this. That is not the case. No one's being forced. If the student decides I'm not gonna do this, the parent says, well, I think that's okay with me. That's okay with me too. No one's being forced to do it. All right. Any questions about the project, about what I was saying? Okay. Any questions from the children? Because you're a part of this conversation as well. Okay. So if there's no questions, no comments, they're sticklers about the time. As soon as it hits 12:30, they're like, it's 12:30. I've kept you after school, if you will, and I've said my piece. But if you have any other questions or comments or things that you want to discuss in private, everybody has my number, and you're welcome to call me at any time. Okay. Kyla Rosario is raising her hand. Kyla, are you raising your hand?
Oh, okay. Kyla got a question.
Oh, okay.
What's your question? I can't ask it.
But you're the founder of my business.
I'm not the founder of your business.
Yes, you are. But you're the one.
Kyla wants to know her children's businesses and investments. I guess she was hoping to, what were you hoping? Oh, if the proceeds from the book sales, if some of it could be reinvested into her business that she's building.
We already discussed that yesterday. We have, didn't we, Kyla? We said when we talked about reciprocity and how can we benefit, we said a percentage of any net proceeds gets put in a fund that anybody has access to. That if you have your own business like you do, if you're making your own book like Isaiah is, if it's whatever it is, it doesn't have to be related to the school. It could be your independent thing. You can still have access to that funds to promote your independent thing. Didn't we have that conversation yesterday? I thought we did. Because we talked, we negotiated. That's already always been a part of the plan anyway. But that was the negotiation conversation that we had yesterday.
Okay.
So like I said, if there's any other questions, anything at all, everybody has my phone number,
Yep.
email, my WhatsApp. Just contact me if you need to. Okay. If there are no other questions, comments, or otherwise, I will see you all on Monday. Yes.
Bye, Hetty, everybody. Bye, Hetty.
Alrighty.
Hello.